Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Morning Jox. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you each and every morning, and we appreciate you making us a part of your morning each and every day right here on Jox. And I've been waiting to say this for a long time because I guess we weren't on the air last Saturday, so you couldn't say it. But it is game day in college football, everybody. We've officially made it. We still got to wait a couple of days for, a lot of the big ones we know that are coming up on Friday and Saturday, of course, with Auburn getting underway tomorrow, Alabama on Saturday. You got Texas and Ohio State, LSU and Clemson, Miami and Notre Dame, just to name a few of the marquee matchups that you've got coming up this weekend. But it does get started today. You've got a couple teams from the state of Alabama in action tonight. You've got one SEC team in action. You've got a dark horse playoff team from the Big Ten, apparently, that's playing tonight. Don't ask me.
Are you talking about Rutgers?
No.
Oh.
No, but we'll get to. No, we're not going to talk about Rutgers. I'm kidding. But no, there's a lot to get into today. A lot to be excited about. As again, it is game day for a number of teams across college football as we really get things underway in week one here. Later on this afternoon. So, of course, you have UAB. They're going to kick things off. Their second season under head coach Trenton Dilfer is going to get underway tonight around 7:30. You'll be able to hear that broadcast here on Jox, of course, but also going to be available for you on ESPN Plus for your viewing pleasures. So, UAB going to host Alabama State tonight at 7:30. You're also going to have Jacksonville State under their new regime with Rich Rodriguez going up to West Virginia and having his reunion tour up there. A new era begins for JSU, and they started off by going to Central Florida to play Scott Frost, who, if you forgot about that, yes, Scott Frost is now, again, the head coach at UCF after Gus Malzahn left to go be the offensive coordinator at Florida State as he prepares for Alabama on Saturday. But Jacksonville State, that game's going to be at 6 o'clock. You're going to be able to watch that on ESPN Plus as well. So excited to watch a couple of teams from our state right here start their seasons tonight. You've got Missouri. They're going to be in action tonight from the SEC. That's our lone representative that's going to be on tonight. They're taking on Central Arkansas, 6:30 on the SEC Network. I mentioned it, the dark horse playoff team for a surprising number of people in the last couple of days, Nebraska. They are taking on Cincinnati. That's going to be tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN. I know a lot of people, including our own Molly Robinson, going to be very excited for that. You got Boise State, who's in the playoffs last year. They're playing tonight. You got Wisconsin. You got Minnesota. You've got a handful of games for you to sink your teeth into tonight. And it's just nice to be able to go and run down a slate of games and go, you know what? You might be awake right now, getting ready to go start today. You're going to go to work. You're going to come home. And you're going to be able to sit down on your couch. And you're going to be able to watch college football until you go to bed.
I'm here for it.
It's a great day.
It's game day, dog. It's what we've been waiting on all season long. And, yes, it was a nice appetizer week 0 last weekend. But now, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we got college football. It is we have reached the pinnacle of the season. It's here. We appreciate everybody that's been rocking with us. Now it's time to jump on and get along for this ride, which is the 2025 college football season, man. I woke up pretty giddy this morning, man, just knowing that we've been putting all this work in during the summer. We've been grinding during the off season, and now we got college football, and it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time, and I think everybody's pretty dialed in for what's going to happen this weekend. Of course, we got some great news. Auburn. You wake up tomorrow, Auburn fans, it's game day.
It's game day.
It's game day. And then Alabama, you got to wait till Saturday. But nonetheless, we are here. 2025 is up on us, and let's get this thing rolling.
Absolutely. So can't wait to get things underway tonight as your first game of the night is going to be Boise State and USF. So that's actually a pretty interesting matchup there early on in the season. So that'll be getting started for you at 4:30, and then you're going to have games kicking off all the way up until 9 p.m. tonight. So you've got a lot of action, a lot of options for what you can watch. And, of course, as I already mentioned, you're going to be able to hear UAB here on Jox as well as watching them as they start year 3 of the Trent Dilfer era, taking on Alabama State And, of course, our very own Landrum Roberts and Pat Smith going to be a part of that broadcast for you right here on Jox. So a lot to get to. We'll come back, circle around to some of the games coming up later on tonight. But we have a lot to get into today, so we need to go and start talking what's going on with Alabama and Auburn, because I know yesterday, particularly for Alabama fans, maybe a little bit of a concerning day. And so we'll tell you everything that's going on ahead of week 1 for both of those programs. But first, actually need to tell you, if you are a YouTube TV subscriber, there seems to be, I guess it seems to be good news for right now. I'm concerned about how long this is ultimately going to last. But yesterday, if you haven't noticed, YouTube TV and Fox are in a dispute. People are worried this is going to carry over to college football. Obviously, it would impact the Auburn game tomorrow, but then also Texas and Ohio State on Saturday morning. But it was announced yesterday that YouTube TV, they've come to a short extension. So the service or the Fox channels are still going to be up on YouTube TV for the time being. However, they didn't give exact details of how long this is going to last. So is this going to be a 24-hour, a 48-hour, or is this hey, we're going to try to get something done during football season, but in the meantime, we're not going to take that access away from you, because they understand that millions of subscribers would probably go to another service. So seems like right now things are looking up. Even if it's not a permanent fix, that there will be a temporary fix that will allow you to watch Fox and those college football games this weekend. But of course, we'll keep you up to date if there's any more news between now and tomorrow. But how about Alabama and Auburn? They get ready for week 1, and Alabama kind of still in the headlines yesterday, but not for the best reasons. And the big news, if you missed it, is Tim Keenan, the defensive lineman, one of the team captains for Alabama this season. It was announced yesterday that he is expected to undergo a tightrope procedure on his ankle because he injured it in practice on Tuesday, which is certainly not a good sign going into week 1. But the expectation, and it was kind of just weird the way that the information trickled out yesterday, because at first you hear from Kalen DeBoer on the teleconference that all the coaches do leading into the games. And you hear him say, okay, well, yeah, he's probably not going to be a full go. So, okay, so he's going to be limited, but, there's still some optimism that maybe he'll be able to play. And then within a couple of hours, that had turned into, he's going to have to go and have this tightrope procedure, which I think a lot of people remember from Tua, and him having to have that same operation done on his ankle when he was in Tuscaloosa. And so now the hope is that he will be out for a few weeks and then be back probably around the Georgia game with Jam Miller. So I guess that's going to be the first time you get to see Alabama potentially at full health this season, will be that Georgia game. So not great news there for Tim Keenan. Obviously a big factor for Alabama on the defensive line, and that has been an area that I think it's fair to say there's some question marks going into the season. So some guys are certainly going to have to step up. James Smith amongst them. We know that he's been getting back after it at practice now after being a little banged up this fall. So a big opportunity for him. But I think somebody you need to know is redshirt freshman Jeremiah Beeman. He is a former 4-star kid out of Birmingham. He actually went to Parker High School in the 2024 class. And so he's now a redshirt freshman there in Tuscaloosa. He's listed on Alabama's directory at 6'4", 265. I saw another measurement somewhere that had him at 6'4", 310. So that's a little different.
Yeah.
That's a little different. But yeah, he's a big dude. Again, has a lot of potential. Heard some good things about him throughout fall camp, but a young guy that you expected to have somewhat of a role this year, but now going to have probably play a pretty big role, at least for the first couple of games this year. So he's going to have to step up and show what he can prove. And some guys are probably just going to be thrown to the fire a little bit, because if you heard Kalen DeBoer, he did Hey Coach yesterday to kick off the season, the show they do there at Baumhauer's down in Tuscaloosa. And this is what he said on the defensive tackles needing to step up with Tim Keenan going down. He said, quote, James Smith, Jeremiah Beeman, guys that have gotten a lot of reps, Edric Hill. There's a lot of guys that will be asked to take more snaps, more reps. There's some young guys that are going to get thrown into the fire a little quicker than we originally thought. So that's where the defensive front stands for Alabama right now, as they're going to be without Tim Keenan. And now you have an Alabama team that's expected to be down 3 starters for week 1 with Jaden Roberts still dealing with the concussion, Jam Miller obviously with the collarbone, and now Tim Keenan. So three big misses there for Alabama heading to Tallahassee after kind of escaping the injury bug for a lot of the offseason, and now a lot of it kind of hitting all at one time. So that's what's going on there with Tim Keenan. Prayers for his recovery. Hope that goes well and we see him on the football field in the very near future. But a couple of other notes last night from what you would have gotten from Hey Coach. You've got Kalen DeBoer saying he thinks that this quarterback room, not only are they maybe the most supportive quarterback room that he's ever seen in terms of them all trying to, just to make each other better on a daily basis and hold each other accountable. But he also said he thinks that the quarterback room is getting coached better than any other quarterback room in the entire country is, and had really nice things to say about his offensive coaching staff. He also said that in preparation for the potential bad weather in Tallahassee, they're practicing with wet balls that are covered in soap, anything that they can do to make it as slippery as possible for Ty Simpson and some of those other guys to manage. So,
yo, slippery ball drill.
Glad to see they're working on it. That's right.
Yeah, but no, you do have to. It's kind of one of those things where you don't know what to expect when it comes to the weather, but it makes it a little difficult. It does, but you have to at least practice it beforehand, so it's not just like a foreign concept to you on Saturday. But I mean, in the name of the game, you still got to be able to put the ball in the air at some point. You saw between Iowa State and Kansas State over the weekend that you're gonna have to throw it at some point when you find yourself in those third and long situations. And if there's a chance of weather, you got to practice it, got to rep it, and you got to get a feel for it. So I think that the Tim Keenan injury is pretty big, but I think that for Alabama, it's not completely detrimental. It's just kind of one of those things. It's an experienced guy. He's played a lot of ball. You have, some good expectations, some high expectations for him. It sucks because this is the part of the game that you hate to see, but I still think that Alabama should go out there and handle their business, even with his absence due to injury.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'll just be honest. It doesn't really change how I look at the game at all. Again, it's not what you want to deal with. He's a leader on that defense. He's a very experienced guy, like you were talking about. But and it may turn out to be a disaster. But at the same time, this could be something that in the long run ends up benefiting you, to the sense of you have some younger guys that are going to get an opportunity to step up, and maybe those are the kinds of guys that you're needing to rely on later on in a season. And from a depth standpoint, it gets you to where you need to be. Because again, kind of like the Jam Miller injury, I know you're stacking injuries on top of each other now, but if Alabama loses to Florida State, it's not going to be because Tim Keenan's not on the field or Jam Miller's not on the field. It's going to be because there's some bigger issues with this football program and the football team that are going to need to be corrected pretty quickly, or else this season may not be going the way that a lot of Alabama fans think that it will. So that's the latest on what's going on with the Crimson Tide. We'd love to hear from you, though. 205-834-9450 on the courtesy GMC text line. If you're an Alabama fan, are you concerned about the injury bug for Alabama? Is it changing how you view this game against Florida State? And I'm sure some Auburn fans will love to chime in and get on that a little bit as well. But speaking of Auburn, we need to tell you what's going on with them. And we're also going to talk about some keys to victory. What are a few things that we need to see happen for both Auburn and Alabama in week 1 to make sure that they get out of there with a victory and start the season the right way at 1-0. Me and Damien will share some of our keys to victory with you, give you the latest injury news for the Auburn Tigers as well. That's all coming up next on Morning Jox. 6:19. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on your Thursday morning game day in college football as week 1 officially kicks off later tonight with UAB, Jacksonville State both in action here from the state of Alabama. You got Missouri in action as well from the SEC. And then, of course, you got Auburn and Baylor coming up for you tomorrow. So let's tell you what's going on with the Auburn Tigers as they get ready for that matchup with Baylor. But first, something that I think Auburn fans are going to be very, very interested in, and something that we are proud to offer here at Jox 94.5 in partnership with Total Sports Travel. We are giving you the chance to go see Auburn take on Oklahoma live in Norman later this season. One lucky winner is going to score a trip for 2, including round-trip airfare, a 2-night stay at the National Hotel in Oklahoma City, 2 tickets to watch Auburn in Oklahoma, and transportation to and from the stadium there in Norman. And all you have to do to win is text the keyword Tigers to 205-834-9450. Again, you're going to text the keyword Tigers, Tigers, to 205-834-9450. Don't miss your shot at the ultimate game day experience, courtesy of Total Sports Travel and your home for college football, Jox 94.5. Contest rules available for you online at joxfm.com. So very cool opportunity there for Auburn Tigers fans, and I just hope that your trip to Norman, if you win that, goes better than the one that I made last year after a 10-hour car ride to watch one of the worst performances from an Alabama football team in my lifetime. So hope that goes better for you Auburn fans this year, but that's an awesome experience, and I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful campus, so if you can make it out there, hopefully you can get lucky, win our giveaway. If not, definitely think it's worth checking out at some point. But how about the Auburn Tigers, Damian? What's going on there on the Plains? So not a whole lot coming out yesterday. The big news, of course, with Eric Singleton. We know he's been banged up, the transfer receiver dealing with a thigh injury there. But according to Hugh Freeze yesterday, speaking on the teleconference with the other coaches, he's not 100%, but he is going to play against Baylor. So not sure if he'll be limited in terms of snap count or anything like that. But he is going to play. He's just still going to be working through a little bit of an injury there. But that's good news certainly for Auburn, Jackson Arnold, and that offense, as Eric Singleton Jr. certainly expects to be a big factor for them this year. We did also get to find out captains for your Auburn Tigers, and not a lot of surprise here. Of course, you had Keldrick Falk was the first captain announced. Not a big shock there to anybody. You had defensive back Champ Anthony. He was named a team captain for Auburn. You also had running back Damari Alston, who was named a captain, and then Connor Liu, the center for the Auburn Tigers. So those are going to be your 4 captains for the 2025 college football season. So congratulations to them. And again, just anything that you ever hear about out of the Auburn program, you're probably going to hear about those guys and their leadership and how they're doing things the right way. And we certainly know how good of players they all are, but also leaderships and great young men as well. So congratulations to the new captains for your Auburn Tigers for the 2025 season. But how about some keys to victory for Auburn? We'll get to Alabama coming up here in a little bit, but wanted to start off with the Auburn Tigers, and I'll give a couple. And Damian, I know you have some as well. And I'll be honest, some of these, I mean, for both of them, you're going to go, oh, well, no, duh. But I mean, there are things that need to happen if you want, if you want to be victorious in week 1. So the first thing for Auburn, and I think we can all agree that this has to be in bold, capital letters at the top of the page for every game this season, and it's just don't turn the ball over. Don't turn the ball over, and I say that in conjunction with not only what we saw from Auburn last year, but also what we saw from Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma last year, because no, you go and you say, man, he didn't throw a ton of interceptions. No, he didn't throw a ton of interceptions. He fumbled the football instead. That's what he did. And he fumbled the football a lot, and he gave the ball away a number of times to teams last season. And so I think that with some of the issues we saw Auburn have, you got to get rid of that problem. You can't keep turning the ball over. That's how you end up in situations like last year where it's, man, if the ball bounces our way one way differently, maybe we win 7 or 8 games instead of 5 games. Well, those things don't happen for you when you're constantly turning the ball over. So I think for Auburn, that has to be the biggest point of emphasis, is protect the football. And again, with Jackson Arnold just make quick, smart decisions and set him up for success, right? From a play calling standpoint, give him confidence early on in a game, and just, again, limit the turnovers, and I think he'll be just fine. But you also, you got to focus on running the football and being able to. I know it's a different situation because you don't have a guy like Jarquez. You have maybe a little bit more of a committee with Alston and Cobb and some of these other guys. But I think Auburn fans are tired of feeling like, all right, hey, take what the defense is going to give you, right? If they're going to let you run the ball 40 times a game for 200 and something yards, do that. Take advantage of what the defense is going to give you and allow you to do. Don't try to force things because, well, you want to move the football down the field quickly. That's great, but that was just such an issue with Jarquez the last couple of years. I think a lot of people are looking to see, let's focus on running the football and not make it feel like we're having to beg, whoever it is that's calling the play on that down to run the football up the middle. And then I also think, defensively, a lot of it just comes down to what can you do to make Sawyer Robertson uncomfortable if you're Auburn, right? Can you force him to have to throw the ball often? Can you force him to have to move out of the pocket a little bit? Can some of the guys that we've heard about on the defensive line step up, get pressure on him pretty consistently? And at that point, let the secondary do some work, which we've heard how good they've been. So those are just some keys to victory, I think, for the Auburn Tigers heading in. Again, nothing probably too mind-blowing in there for you, but Damian, I'd love to hear what you think or what you want to see from Auburn tomorrow that will lead them to victory.
Yeah, and in the same with you. In capital letters, I have protection, 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 whether that's protecting the ball and protecting your quarterback. So when you look at how Auburn is going to attack this Baylor defense, I think, one, to your point, get Jackson Arnold hot early. Get him confident early so he can get into a groove. And I think that for the offensive side of the ball for Auburn, you're going to have to establish the run game. You're going to have to make it a focal point. You let Jackson Arnold use his legs. Make him make quick decisions in the RPO game. And also leads into my second point of give your playmakers the ball. Let them do whatever they need to do because you have too many guys with a ton of talent for them to just be wasted out there running, dummy routes or empty routes. They got to go out there and make plays. You got Cam Coleman. You got Eric Singleton. You got Perry Thompson. Horatio Fields is a guy that Hugh Freeze has been high on. Let us see what they can do. And that starts with protecting Jackson Arnold and keeping him upright to make those decisions and protecting the ball when he makes those decisions. And I look at the defensive side. I said the DJ Durkin special. Make the front seven the impact players of the game. Make Sawyer Robertson shake. If you're Baylor, one, I don't think you can go pound for pound, skill for skill outside with Auburn's defensive backs are going to present to you. I think DJ Durkin, with the guys that he has returning and the pieces that he has returning, especially there in the secondary and in the front seven, I think that you have to feel confident that, hey, if this game is going to be, 10-14 going into the fourth quarter, if it's a lower scoring game, it feeds right into what Auburn needs it to be because, that their defense is going to step up. At least that's what we've been hearing in fall camp, and they showed pieces of that last season. So I think defensively, it's to your point, make Sawyer Robertson uncomfortable because he's a guy that last season, when they started getting on their winning streak, he started to get into a groove. He felt confident. He felt like, okay, I can lead this team to victory in the Big 12. Well, now you're opening it up with Auburn from the SEC, who the defense wasn't the Achilles heel last year. It was the decision-making from the quarterback position, not protecting him and putting the ball in harm's way. So I think the earlier that they can rattle Sawyer Robertson, kind of get him uncomfortable, get him knocked off script early on, I think it bodes well for what Auburn can do in Waco. So I think it's a little bit of it's kind of self-explanatory because it's been one of the biggest question marks we've had for Auburn since the offseason. It's, all right, we know the talent in which Jackson Arnold is. Can he go out there and perform at a high level? Now you got everybody healthy. Now you've got Cam Coleman. You've got Eric Singleton. You got your guys in the backfield. You have the talent around you to make sure that your life is as easy as it possibly can be. You just got to get the ball to them. And then defensively, you rattle that cage early. It sets right up in your favor for Auburn to have success there in Waco.
So there you have it. There's some keys to victory from both Damian and myself for what Auburn's going to need to do tomorrow against the Baylor Bears. And, of course, it goes far more in-depth than that. That's just kind of a surface-level look at a lot of it. But clearly, as we both brought up, protecting the football, protecting the quarterback going to be massive. And again, Can the special teams be better than last year? And I know, there's some uncertainty with Alex McPherson and him still dealing with, his medical situation, unfortunately. But can you be better in special teams? Can you protect the football and can the play calling be more consistent? I think those are things that across the board, if you're an Auburn fan, you'd be pretty honest with yourself and go, yeah, those are all areas last year that may have cost us some football games. And are those things because look, you can bring in a new quarterback, you can bring in a bunch of guys from the transfer portal, you can have a bunch of young, 5-star recruits that are starting to develop, and all those things are great. But are the things that, the little things, right? The fundamental things, are you taking care of those as well? Because as we've seen, that's really where a lot of the issues have been. Offensively, Auburn was pretty good at times last year, right? It was just they weren't able to finish drives because they couldn't kick and they turned the ball over too much. So I think those are the two areas in particular that you look at and you go, all right, if we can get better at those areas, that's an easy path to, maybe a floor of 8 wins as opposed to 8 wins maybe being a ceiling in some people's minds. So that's what's going on with Auburn in our keys to victory for their matchup with Baylor tomorrow. But you also have Alabama taking on Florida State in Tallahassee on Saturday. What are our keys to victory for the Crimson Tide as they are a little banged up now? Going to be down 3 starters in week 1. We'll share what we think the Tide needs to do in Tallahassee to start the season 1-0. That's next on Jox. 6:36. Welcome back into Morning Jox here. Appreciate you joining us. Conrad and Damien with you until 7 o'clock when we'll hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. And we are going to get to some keys to victory for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Just talked about it with Auburn. And then coming up here in just a little bit, we'll read your text on the Courtesy GMC text line, but we're also going to give you some picks for week 1 because I will be out on Friday and Monday. So Damien will be here with you, but wanted to go ahead and get some of those picks in before I'll be heading out of town for the Labor Day weekend. And yes, I am already aware that if Alabama loses to Florida State, I'm going to get even more crap because it's going to look like I took the day off on Monday to avoid the defeat.
The shame. That's what it's called. Shame.
Correct. But if that does happen on Tuesday, I will look different when I am here at work. So it'll be worth it.
You got to shave?
They talked me into doing something, though. If Florida State beats Alabama, Molly's going to do something.
Oh, so you're going to be part Seminole for a day?
Kind of, yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, I hope Alabama wins.
Me too. I don't enjoy wearing face paint, but if Alabama loses, then I guess I'll be wearing face paint on Tuesday. So that's what we have coming up here in just a little bit. But just like we did with the Auburn Tigers moments ago, let's get to Alabama, some things that we need to see from the Crimson Tide. So again, I think it's fairly simple. Or a lot of these are going to say, yeah, okay, I think that's pretty obvious for Alabama, but they still need to do it on Saturday. And I think, the first thing that comes to mind is find a way to establish the run game early, especially rainy conditions. Ty Simpson's first start. Can you get some confidence not only for the running backs and these guys that are having to step up with Jam Miller being out, but also the offensive line? Because they're without Jaden Roberts. You've got a lot of new pieces with Dewberry and Vandermark and Formby, and these guys all getting, I guess kind of their first extended look in a lot of ways in a big situation. So can you get that confidence built early? I also think with Ty Simpson, that's going to help him out, obviously, if the running game gets going there and you can get into play action and things like that. But I also think for Ty Simpson, look, I think all of Alabama's receivers are great. I'm excited to watch a lot of them. But at the end of the day, Ryan Williams is Ryan Williams, and I think you need to find a way to get him the ball early. Can you find ways to get him, Jeremy, Isaiah Horton the ball early without having to throw the ball down the field necessarily? Now, if you can throw the ball down the field, that's great. But, if it's pretty wet out there and you're not really trying to risk it and you're trying to protect the football early on, can you find ways to get the ball out quickly to these guys in space, let the skill guys go and do the work for you, offensively speaking, for Alabama? And then the big questions for me defensively, there's two of them. It's A, can you sack the quarterback? Because we know for last year that was not a strong suit of this defense for Alabama. Now with Tim Keenan out, that's going to make it even more difficult to put pressure on the quarterback and to bring him down. But can you sack the quarterback, and can you do it somewhat consistently throughout the course of the game? And then secondly, for me, is I'm not going to be surprised if Tommy Castellanos and Gus Malzahn come out and that offense looks pretty sharp for Florida State the first couple of drives. But if you're Alabama and Kane Wommack, can you adjust to that, right? Can you find a way in the middle of the game to say, all right, they came up with a great game plan. What can we do to fix this? What can we do to stop this and kind of stop the bleeding a little bit defensively? Because that's something they weren't great at last year, and they're going to have to be able to do this year. So those are some of my keys to victory. Damien, what are your thoughts on Alabama going in to Florida State?
On the offensive side, don't get one-dimensional. I know the Jam Miller injury kind of makes it a little bit running back by committee, but I do think that Ty Simpson, you're almost in a similar situation like Jackson Arnold, man. You've got a lot of talent around you, so the pressure necessarily shouldn't be on you. And I think for even, the offensive side and Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer, I don't expect them to just hang their hat on I don't expect them to hang their hat on just throwing the ball all over the yard. Like I think that this game is going to dictate, you get into the flow of it and realize, okay, hey, Richie Young's getting 5 yards a pop, 4 yards a pop. We keep this thing rolling, and whoever's the running back in there, get behind that offensive line. They're looked at as one of the best in the SEC, if not the nation, returning from, last season. The expectation is this is going to be something that you can hang your hat on. So don't force the game to be one-dimensional and asking Ty Simpson to go out there and put up Michael Penix Jr. numbers. Now, if it happens, congratulations. But I still think that you have to find some sort of balance offensively to keep Florida State, on their toes when, it's 2nd and 4. You're sitting there thinking, oh, yeah, they're going to run the ball. Boom, you hit them over the top, Ryan Williams on a deep post or something like that. So I think as long as you don't find yourself in being in one-dimensional situations, I think it bodes well. And then defensively, set the tone. I have it in all capital letters again. Set the tone. I think that for Alabama fans, you want to get back to the old school style of play of just absolutely smothering them on defense. And I know the game has changed a lot with everything being so spread out, but there's still ways you can dominate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I understand the Tim Keenan injury kind of throws a little bit off on the defensive line, but you still have the Quay Russalls of the world. You still have guys that can make impact plays. Deontay Lawson is coming back, a guy that is, he is the defensive quarterback. Like, he knows everything, and you saw how Alabama last year, especially towards the backstretch of the season, that defense continue to get better. Now it's all about retention and more guys stepping up because they're more comfortable in their situations, in their positions, so they know what this defense is supposed to do. And I think setting the tone. I think Damani Jackson, if he's 100%, show that you're a number one corner. Show that you are a lockdown guy. And I think with the secondary for Alabama, they're experienced. Like, there's a lot of season back there, so they can kind of disguise some things a little bit more comfortable than what they were last season. And I think that defensively, you have to be the calling card. It is, hey, we've got a lot of guys on this side of the ball that have played a lot of football for Kane Womack, and we know exactly what we need to do. So go out there, set the tone, play fast, play loose. And I think it should bode well for Alabama against Florida State.
Yeah, we'll certainly find out on Saturday, as they will do battle around 2:30 on Saturday afternoon down there in Tallahassee. It's crazy to think that 24 hours from now, you'll be able to wake up and say it's Auburn game day, and 48 hours from now, you'll be waking up and it'll be Alabama game day as well. So those are some of our keys to victories. Gave you some for Auburn as they take on Baylor, and now Alabama as they take on Florida State. Can they both start the season 1-0? There's a couple of teams in our state that want to start off 1-0 tonight, with the UAB and Jacksonville State kicking off their 2025 seasons later on. So we still have some picks to get to because we have a great slate of games not only tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You've got so much college football coming your way, and we want to give you some of our picks for the biggest games of week one. We'll also get to your texts that are coming in, 205-834-9450 on the courtesy GMC text line. That's all coming up next here on Jox. There it is for the second time this season. Little Lil Wayne to bring you back, which means only one thing here on Morning Jocks, which means we've got some picks coming your way for the upcoming weekend of college football. Of course, getting underway tonight as you've got Jacksonville State taking on UCF here, it's going to be there in Florida, but here in the state, Jacksonville State representing. And then you have UAB as they're going to be hosting Alabama State tonight as their season gets underway starting at 7:30 p.m. And you'll be able to hear that game right here on Jox, of course, as well. So very excited as Missouri's going to kick off their season tonight. Nebraska starting their season. Minnesota. So many teams. Boise State getting underway tonight. And, of course, we have some big games coming up all throughout the weekend that you'll be able to hear on Jox. But before we get to some of our picks and hear from you, we want to remind you again about a great opportunity, Auburn fans, as Jox 94.5 and Total Sports Travel are giving you an opportunity to see Auburn take on Oklahoma in Norman. One lucky winner is going to score a trip for two that includes round-trip airfare, a two-night stay at the National Hotel in OKC City, 2 tickets to watch the Tigers and Sooners do battle, and transportation to and from the stadium there in Norman. And all you have to do to win this great package is text the keyword Tigers to 205-834-9450. Again, that keyword is Tigers and text 205-834-9450. Don't miss your shot at the ultimate game day experience courtesy of Total Sports Travel in your home for college football, Jox 94.5. You can go to joxfm.com to find out all the contest rules. So good luck to all of you out there. Hopefully one of you is going to go have a great time in Norman watching Auburn go and get a little revenge for the state of Alabama there in Norman. But we do have to get to our picks. First, let's go to Don Don. I know Don Don, he wants to talk a little Auburn this morning. How are we doing, Don Don?
Hey, Mr. Conrad. Hello, Damien. Conrad, first, I hope you enjoy your weekend. First of all, and you got a good place to watch the game at down there?
Yeah, no, we'll be all good to go. And if Alabama wins, I'll have a great weekend. And if not, then might be coming home soon. Coming home a little early. We'll see.
Well. Actually, Legend said the same thing. He said he's going to move out of the state if Alabama loses.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm not going to do that, but I'll let Legend take that one. But yeah, hopefully a good weekend for both of our teams, Don Don.
I hear you, buddy. Well, real quickly, I've been listening to some predictions and everything, and a lot of people are picking Auburn. They really are.
Yeah, I think they've been the favorite in Vegas, at least for the majority of the offseason for a reason. And I think from a talent standpoint, on paper at least, Auburn is the better football team.
Well, one question for you, and I read this last night. I think they got they're starting defensive backs out, so that's a big advantage for us. I think we're going to beat them over the top with some big plays, guys.
We'll certainly see, Don Don. Do you have a score prediction for us real quick?
I do. 31-17. Auburn, I picked that the other day, so I'm sticking with it.
31-17. All right, Don Don. Well, we appreciate you, man. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you, buddy.
Yep, thank you, Don Don. There you go. Auburn, a 31-17 winner over Baylor tomorrow night, according to Don Don. But let's get to some picks now. We're going to do 5 games from 4 from the SEC, 1 not involving teams in the SEC. But the big games coming up this weekend, and we'll go in order of how they're going to, you're going to be able to watch them over the course of the next 3 days. So let's start off with that Auburn and Baylor game, Damien, because that one is going to take place tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on Fox. And you'll also be able to hear it here on Jox as well. So with Auburn and Baylor, Auburn a 2.5-point favorite as it stands right now. I think this is going to be a great game. I could see this game unfolding in a lot of different ways. But like I just told you, I think Auburn's the better team on paper. I think you're going up against a Baylor team like you heard from Don Don. They're missing some guys on defense, missing the backup running back. And their pass defense last year was absolutely atrocious as it was. So I think Auburn's going to be able to go in there, get some confidence going for Jackson Arnold early. I think the defense has a big game. And I like Auburn to get out of Waco with a win. I'm going to go Auburn 28-24 over the Baylor Bears in a great football game. But I think Auburn wins and covers.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Auburn definitely wins the football game and they cover the spread. I have a 31-21 victory
Okay.
for Auburn. I think, it's getting to a point where we've got to see it. And I think this is an Auburn team that's looking to start the season off on the right foot. And, yeah, we know what Dave Aranda presents defensively, but I still think the talent is going to rise to the top. And Auburn's definitely got them when you match up roster for roster. And I think Auburn gets out with a pretty convincing win.
All right, we'll go next up Saturday morning at 11 a.m. So back-to-back Fox games. So hopefully YouTube TV, their extension continues to last and you're able to watch both of these games for all you subscribers out there. But Texas, Ohio State in Columbus. Ohio State getting 1.5 at home. And because it is in Columbus, that is the main reason that I'm going this way. I'm going to take Ohio State. I think Julian saying maybe looks better than Arch Manning. That might be a hot take. But at least in the first week, playing at home, having Jeremiah Smith helps a good bit, certainly. I think the Texas defense looks really good. I think this is a hard-fought game. I'm not going to be surprised if it's a little lower scoring, actually, because both defenses are really, really impressive. But give me Ohio State. I think they win maybe by like a field goal, a touchdown, a one-possession game, but I like Ohio State over Texas.
I'm going in the opposite direction. I think Texas wins this ball game. I think that we may not see the quote-unquote Heisman version of Arch Manning, but I think we see an efficient game manager for Arch Manning to start things off. And I think that Texas, when you look at the pieces that they have surrounding him and the utilization of his legs, I think he can. I see a little bit of that last name in him, a lot, and I think we're going to get a full gamut of it where he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. He's just going out there, play within the offense, and I think Sark is going to scheme him up, so give me Texas.
All right, 3 more games left for us to go. Alabama, Florida State, that's 2:30 on Saturday. You're going to be able to watch it on ABC. Alabama, 13.5-point favorite. Look, I feel really good about this Alabama team going into the year. I know they're a little banged up. So I will revise my score a little bit, but I think Alabama wins and covers. Give me Alabama 38-20 over Florida State.
Give me Alabama 31-14. I think Alabama goes out there and, like I said, they set the tone. They let everybody know last year was last year. This is a whole new team has hitting the field in 2025. Give me Alabama big.
All right, Saturday night, LSU Clemson 6:30 on ABC. Clemson a 4.5-point favorite. Ooh, that's a little rich for me. I think LSU might cover, but I do think Clemson wins the game straight up.
I think Clemson wins it straight up as well. I think Clemson's the more overall team, and I think we see the Cade Klubnik show. They light them up defensively, so give me Clemson.
And then Notre Dame and Miami there in Hard Rock Stadium. Notre Dame a 2.5-point favorite. Give me Miami in a close one to start off the year.
I got Notre Dame. I have Notre Dame. I don't think Carson Beck is as advertised.
There we go. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. They're next.